DC here. Hi, guys and gals. Well, happy Father's Day to any of you who happen to be fathers that might be listening to this vlog. Probably aren't any, actually, that are fathers that are listening to this. But anyway, if you still have a father, geez, probably none of those who are watching this video have a father still. Boy, this is almost starting as a depressing video, isn't it? Yeah, but it's Father's Day in North America. It is not Father's Day over here in Switzerland. We've had Father's Day, and I've made a vlog on this in the beginning of June. And it's also, by the way, the first day of summer? Yeah, it is. Anyway, and I guess we could say it's a beer vlog in a way. So I'm drinking an Italian beer. It's Birra Moretti, and I've often heard that Italian beers aren't very good, but this certainly is an exception, I can tell you that. So if ever you see that one, you can buy it without any problem. It's not very strong in alcohol, it's 4.6%. So you know, some beers are stronger. This is not, but it's a nice beer. My son, one of my sons just left. He came over because he knows that it's actually, in a way, in my head, today is Father's Day. So, but yeah, so I mean, I've been thinking of my dad, yeah, and thinking of my father-in-law, which, you know, were two very good men, and they've been gone for a few years now. Let me see. My father-in-law passed away in 2012, I think it is. So that would be 14 years ago. And my dad in 2019. Yeah, already 7 years. Yeah, so it's time passes. Time certainly does. And what can I say? You know, it's one of those things where once it's past, once it's gone, you look at the old pictures and you think, well, you know, yeah, life sure goes by, but I remember and I have good memories. Yeah. One thing is very different in today's world and when we were kids, or at least people like myself were kids, is that not everybody, you know, took pictures as much as we do now. There might be a few pictures like at different special events, parties, maybe at Christmas, maybe at Easter, maybe not. There would not automatically be somebody pulling out a camera when there was a family meal. Contrary to myself, once I started having a camera, I was using it a lot. But and ever since there's digital, oh my goodness, yeah. And when you think about it, oh, I was going to pull out my cell phone. I'm filming on my cell phone. Oh, yeah, I'm using my cell phone, but I also use my cell phone for pictures. And so, of course, I mean, everybody now, pretty much everybody now, has a camera in their pocket. And so pictures, as you know, have become such a common thing these days that, well, yeah, almost too common in a way. How many people remember the old YouTube days? When we started doing YouTube, that was about 17 years ago now. And I'm trying to think, when we started that, we wouldn't shy away from making videos about, you know, with people around us, taking pictures. If you were on a beach, if there were kids, if you were in a playground. I'm not saying that we would go overboard, you know, with crazy pictures, but today you can get into trouble. You can get into a lot of trouble if you don't, if you're not careful on who you're filming and so on. And I know you can still do these days what they call street photography, but in the old days you'd just be walking around with your camera, you'd be taking pictures pretty much. And today, I mean, there's all types of camouflage gear for people who want to do street photography, there's all type of articles how to hold the camera so it doesn't show, how to fake it basically, so that you don't, well, first off, so that you don't get aggressed, you know, that you don't get beat up. Hey, what are you doing, taking a picture of me, and so on. Yeah, there's a photographer. I don't know if he's Russian or not, but he takes a lot of does a lot of street photography. Excuse me. He does a lot of street photography in Russia, in Moscow. At least he used to. And he would just basically point. I was going to say point at the beautiful girls and start taking pictures, you know, and then he'd go up to them and show them the picture. And almost all the time, this was a few years back, almost all the time they would be very happy with it. I've only seen, I think, once somebody said, you know, I don't want you taking my picture. And the person was on the video, so I don't know what happened with that. But I don't know if it's a difference over there, or if it's a difference because he did it a few years back. I've had a situation like that once. It happened to me when I was in Serbia, and I was taking a picture. I was taking a picture of a bread line. Basically, people were lining up to go to the bakery, and I was filming. And a guy came over, and actually he banged on my camera and said, you know, don't do that. And well, he said it in Serb, and so I made the dumb English tourist saying that I was just taking pictures and something. And I know he said a few words, which I can't remember them right now, but I do remember that they were swear words in Serbian. That was in Belgrade. Yeah, it was in Belgrade. Because I went in two cities over there, in Belgrade and Vršac. Yeah, Vršac, which is more near Romania, kind of. And Belgrade there was still, I mean, you know, some buildings were in pretty bad shape from the war and so on. And they were not keen, a lot of people were not keen on you taking pictures. You did have to be careful. But you know what? I was told later on that there was still a lot of spying going on, and that people didn't want to be shown where they were and stuff like that, and that was just as much involved as, you know, they didn't know who was doing the street photography. So if you were to, and I didn't, of course, didn't have a press. I was going to say anything for the press at the time, one of these press cards or whatever. Yeah, I had no idea I was going to talk about that today. I have been looking at a topic, though, that I'll probably be using in one of my Spanish classes soon. It was the differences between boomers and Gen X, which is like the generation right after the boomers. And it was quite interesting, actually, to see the differences, I mean, in the characteristics that's changed between the enthusiasm of the boomer period to the period which was the Gen X period, which is like the late 60s to mid 70s, late 70s, where there was a lot of economic problems and so on, latchkey kids and things like that, and how the resilience of the people of that period is different to the character of the boomers. And so these are things like I'll probably be chatting in a Spanish class one of these days. One of the reasons, amongst others, is that my Spanish teacher happens to be Gen X, so we'll be able to compare boomer and Gen X. Yeah. Oh. Yeah. So if you're wondering about Father's Day, because that was the topic that I started with, though, is that we did Father's Day, basically, like I had told you before, in the beginning of the month. But we did have everybody over for a meal yesterday, and it was a good meal. It was a fun meal. Yeah. So is that it? You know, it probably should be, because I'm coming up to 10 minutes. And I didn't even know what I was going to chat about, but just went on and on and on. So that'll be it. DC signing off. Happy Father's Day, and I'm going to finish my Italian beer. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.